All right, let's dive into a place you might not have thought much about. Travel-wise, Tianjin, China. We're going deep today, deeper than the usual travel brochures and websites. We've got a FlightNHotels.com overview and a specific city guide for Tianjin, ready to uncover something new.
Yeah, I think what struck me about both of these sources was how they both kind of presented Tianjin as the city of surprises.
Okay.
Not just another Chinese mega city. They described it with this phrase, vibrant blend of historical charm and modern elegance.
I like that.
And then they said, over 600 years of history, so clearly a city with some stories to tell.
600 years. Wow.
Yeah.
I got to admit, when I think China, my brain usually goes right to Beijing or Shanghai. So what makes Tianjin stand out from those giants?
Well, one of the things that really stood out to me about Tianjin is its architecture.
Okay. Yeah.
Just this unique architectural landscape you find there. Imagine walking down a street, you've got British mansions mixed right in with traditional Chinese courtyard houses.
Yeah.
You turn a corner and you're suddenly surrounded by, Italian palazzos. Wow.
That's Tianjin's 5 great avenues. Basically a long timeline of architectural fusion, all thanks to its time as a foreign concession area.
Hold on. Foreign concession area. Can you refresh my memory on what that means?
Sure. So basically, back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a bunch of European powers, Japan and the United States too, they had a ton of influence in certain areas, enclaves within Chinese cities like Tianjin. And these areas were, for all intents and purposes, governed by those foreign powers. And so that obviously, left this really lasting impact on the city's architecture, but also its culture.
Right. Yeah. So those 5 great avenues are Wudadao. That's like a snapshot of that whole era, frozen in time. Mm-hmm. Wild to think about all those different architectural styles just all crammed together in one place.
Yeah. It's like stepping into a time capsule.
Yeah.
Like picture yourself taking a horse-drawn carriage ride through there, surrounded by these, Victorian mansions with all the, intricate details and grand facades. Really a feast for the eyes.
Okay, adding carriage ride to my to-do list.
Yeah, but let's be real. All that sightseeing can work up an appetite. What's the food scene like in Tianjin?
Oh, get ready for your taste buds to go on an adventure.
Right.
Tianjin's been nicknamed the City of Snacks. And for good reason. The street food there is legendary. Just all these unique local specialties you won't find anywhere else.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
Give me the details. What are these legendary snacks I need to try?
Well, you can't talk about Tianjin food without mentioning googly baozi.
Okay.
These steamed buns, they're like little fluffy clouds filled with either savory meats or vegetables, and they just melt in your mouth. And then there's jianbing, this savory crepe that's like a symphony of textures and flavors. You've got these crispy edges, a soft center, and just endless possibilities for fillings. And, you can't forget the Hawaiian fried roast cakes, chewy and satisfying with just a touch of sweetness.
Whoa, hold on. You're really painting a picture here.
Yeah.
I can practically smell those spices and hear the sounds of street vendors cooking up a storm.
It's quite the experience.
But Tianjin isn't just ancient allure and amazing snacks.
Nice.
It's got to have a modern side, too.
Oh, absolutely. Tianjin isn't stuck in the past.
Right.
It's a thriving modern city. The skyline is filled with skyscrapers, world-class shopping malls, and this buzzing nightlife that rivals any major city in the world.
Okay, so we've got this amazing blend of old and new. A visual and culinary feast. But let's get specific. What are some of those must-see spots that really capture, the true essence of Tianjin?
If you want an immersive experience, you absolutely have to visit Ancient Culture Street, Guanhuaji.
Oh.
Imagine walking into a scene straight out of the Qing Dynasty. You've got ornate buildings, traditional architecture, the aroma of street food everywhere, and stalls overflowing with handcrafted treasures.
I'm getting sensory overload just thinking about it.
It's a lot to take in.
Now, for a bird's eye view of all that architectural and cultural fusion, what do you recommend?
All right, well, for a truly unforgettable experience, the Tianjin Eye.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know what you're thinking. Another Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
But this one's special. It's built right into the Yongle Bridge. It spans this, wide section of the high river, offers these stunning panoramic views of the city. So imagine yourself soaring above the cityscape, sunset casting these golden hues over the ancient rooftops and all the modern skyscrapers. Magical, especially at night. All those city lights twinkling like stars.
Okay, sold. Tianjin Eye is on the list. I love the idea of seeing a city from that unique perspective. Now, I'm all about those off-the-beaten-path discoveries. Any hidden gems in Tianjin that might surprise our listeners?
You are in for a treat with this one. Imagine a house, but not just any house. A house completely covered in millions of pieces of porcelain.
Wait, what?
That's the porcelain house.
Yeah.
A museum dedicated to ceramics. It's a visual spectacle in itself.
Hold on. A whole house covered in porcelain. That's incredible. I'm picturing like a mosaic of colors and patterns.
Yeah.
Like a giant art installation.
Yeah, it's really something else.
Already adding it to the itinerary.
You won't regret it. It's this crazy blend of traditional art and modern design. I guarantee it'll leave you speechless.
All right, so we've established that Tianjin is an absolute gem. The architecture, the food, the unexpected sights. It's all incredible. But for those of us planning a trip, what's the best way to handle flights and hotels?
Well, that's where FlightNHotels.com really shines. It's like your one-stop shop. You can compare flights, hotels, make sure you're getting the best deal without having to, go through a million different websites.
Okay, I like that.
They've even got like a best deal guarantee, 24/7 support. So you can book with confidence.
That sounds incredibly convenient, having everything in one place. Definitely takes some of the stress out of trip planning. But speaking of planning, what are some essential tips for really making the most of a trip to Tianjin?
Well, first things first, the weather.
Okay.
Spring, so April to June, and autumn, September to November, are going to offer you the most pleasant temperatures for exploring. Imagine strolling through those ancient streets without, melting under the summer sun or freezing in the winter winds.
Makes total sense. Comfortable weather can make or break a trip. Now, getting around a big city like Tianjin, that can be a little daunting. What's the best way to navigate all that?
Oh, Tianjin actually has a super efficient metro and bus network. It'll connect you to pretty much every corner of the city.
Okay, nice.
And then for shorter distances, or if you're just feeling fancy, taxis and ride shares are readily available and surprisingly affordable.
That's a relief. Reliable public transportation is a lifesaver when exploring a new place. But what about the language barrier? I'm assuming Mandarin is a must.
Well, while Mandarin is definitely the main language spoken there, you'll be happy to know that English is pretty widely spoken in tourist areas.
Okay, good.
But honestly, learning a few basic Mandarin phrases can go a long way. It shows respect for the local culture, and it might lead to some fun interactions with the locals, too.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
I'm always up for learning a few phrases, especially if it means connecting with the local culture a bit deeper. Now, before we move on, gotta ask about safety. Is Tianjin a safe city for travelers?
Generally speaking, yes. Tianjin is considered a safe city for visitors. Of course, as with any big city, it's always smart to be cautious. Be aware of your surroundings, avoid, flashing expensive stuff.
Right.
But overall, you should feel pretty comfortable exploring Tianjin's streets and attractions.
That's reassuring. It's always nice to know you can relax and enjoy the experience without constantly looking over your shoulder. Now, we've covered some of the must-see spots, but with so much to offer, how can someone really maximize their time in Tianjin? Any insider tips for planning the perfect itinerary?
I think the key is to tailor your itinerary to your interests. Are you a history buff who wants to dive deep into Tianjin's past? A foodie on a mission to sample every culinary delight? Or an architecture enthusiast just mesmerized by the unique buildings? Or maybe, a bit of everything. Once you know your priorities, you can start mapping out a route that hits all those sweet spots.
Yeah.
Like if you're really into the architectural side of things, dedicate a whole day to exploring the 5 great avenues, dig into the history of the foreign concessions, check out all those intricate details at the porcelain house.
Great advice. It's all about creating an experience that speaks to your passions. But what about the hidden gems? Those places that aren't on the typical tourist map, but offer a glimpse into the real Tianjin. What do you recommend?
I would say venture beyond those well-trodden paths and check out some of the local neighborhoods. Really get a feel for the everyday rhythm of the city. You might stumble upon a tea house tucked away in a quiet alley, or you can just soak in the atmosphere and watch the locals go about their day. Or maybe you'll discover a bustling street market where you can sample authentic Tianjin snacks and, haggle for unique souvenirs.
I love that. Getting lost in those local neighborhoods, experiencing the city's true heartbeat. But speaking of local experiences, what about cultural etiquette? Any customs or traditions travelers should keep in mind to avoid any faux pas?
Well, the Chinese people are generally super welcoming and understanding of visitors, but a few small gestures of respect can go a long way.
Like what?
Well, like accepting a business card with both hands, taking a moment to read it before putting it away, little things like that. And when you're dining with locals, try a little bit of everything offered, even if it's something unfamiliar. It shows appreciation for their hospitality.
Those are great tips. Always good to be respectful of local customs wherever you go. But let's be honest, some of the best travel moments are when you step outside your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
Try something new. Any suggestions for something truly unique that might surprise or challenge our listeners?
How about learning some basic Tai Chi moves from a local instructor?
Oh.
Tai Chi. It's this gentle form of exercise, originated in China, obviously, and you'll see people practicing it everywhere. In Tianjin, parks, public spaces. It's really cool. Wonderful way to connect with the local culture, get some exercise, maybe even find a little inner peace amidst the hustle and bustle of the city.
I love that. I can picture myself flowing through those movements in a park somewhere, surrounded by locals, like a mini cultural immersion experience.
Exactly. That's the magic of travel, isn't it? Opening yourself up to new possibilities, challenging those assumptions, and discovering something new about yourself along the way.
So we've learned that Tianjin is this incredible blend of history, culture, and modern energy. You can wander through architectural wonders, indulge in culinary delights, and really immerse yourself in this unique cultural tapestry. But beyond the main attractions, what else about Tianjin might really intrigue our listeners?
Well, we've talked a lot about the architecture and the food, but I think it's worth mentioning the art scene in Tianjin. It's really vibrant. It's a city where tradition meets innovation, ancient art forms being reinterpreted in modern ways. It's really cool.
Oh, that's fascinating. I'm always drawn to a city's artistic side. Where can we find this energy in Tianjin? What are some examples that might appeal to our more artistic listeners?
Well, if you're looking to really dive into traditional Chinese art, the Tianjin Art Museum is a great place to start.
What?
It's got this incredible collection of calligraphy, paintings, and ceramics.
Nice.
You can see pieces from all different periods, so you can really, trace the evolution of these art styles over time.
Sounds like the perfect spot to really immerse yourself in China's rich artistic history. But you mentioned Tianjin is also where tradition meets innovation. Where can we find those artists, the ones who are pushing the boundaries, redefining what art is in Tianjin?
For something on the cutting edge, head to the 798 Art Zone. It used to be a bunch of factories, but it's been totally transformed into this really vibrant hub for contemporary art. Think converted industrial spaces, housing galleries, studios, performance venues, and even some pretty cool cafes.
Wait, factories turned into art spaces? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's got a similar vibe to the 798 Art District in Beijing, but with that, unique Tianjin twist. You'll find everything there. Avant-garde installations, experimental performances. You might even stumble upon an artist's open studio. Get a glimpse into their creative process.
I love that, experiencing that raw creative energy firsthand. Now, we've been talking a lot about Tianjin's unique blend of East and West. How does that show up in the art scene? Are artists drawing inspiration from both sides of the world?
Oh, for sure. You'll find artists who seamlessly weave together Eastern and Western aesthetics, creating works that really bridge those cultural divides. So, for instance, you might see, like a traditional Chinese ink painting, but it's got elements of abstract expressionism, or a sculpture that combines ancient symbolism with more modern materials, metal, glass, stuff like that.
That's amazing. It's like the art itself reflects the city's history as this meeting point of different cultures, a visual representation of that cultural exchange we've been talking about. Now, for those of us who, may not be art experts but still appreciate creativity, what would you suggest?
Keep an eye out for street art, public sculptures. You'll find them all over the city. Tianjin has this surprisingly vibrant street art scene with colorful murals and these unexpected installations just popping up in the most random places. Adds a little bit of whimsy and beauty to everyday life.
I love that. It's art that's accessible to everyone, right? Just integrated into the city itself. But art isn't just visual, right? What about music, theater, performance? Does Tianjin have a good performing arts scene too?
Absolutely. Tianjin Grand Theater is like a world-class venue. They host a huge variety of performances: opera, ballet, traditional Chinese music, drama, you name it. And if you're looking for something smaller, you can find little theaters and live music venues scattered throughout the city, showcasing local talent, experimental performances.
Okay, so we've got museums, art districts, street art, theaters. Tianjin is a true cultural feast for the senses, something for everyone, no matter what your artistic interests are. But as we wrap up our deep dive into Tianjin, let's take a moment to, reflect on what we've learned about this amazing city.
Yeah, it's a city that I think often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
But, it's got this rich history of vibrant culture and that blend of East meets West that really makes it stand out.
It's a place where you've got these architectural wonders standing side by side with modern marvels, where food is a true adventure, and where the arts are thriving, giving us a peek into the city's creative spirit.
Tianjin really challenges, I think, our perceptions of China, showing us there's always more to discover. It's a city that embraces its past, but it's looking ahead to the future, too.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that travel is about opening ourselves up to new experiences, new perspectives, and new ways of seeing the world. Maybe, just maybe, our little deep dive into Tianjin has inspired you to add it to your own travel bucket list.
And if you do find yourself in Tianjin, really savor those unexpected moments, those chance encounters, the little things that make travel so unforgettable.
Well said. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those adventurous spirits alive.